just driving back from the horses, and very happy with how things went today with Halo. Penny was good. She ate, and I set her up, tied her up outside the paddock, and she ate, and then I got a lot of things done and went back. It worked well because she takes forever to eat. And I'm just driving, and I'll have to cut this video up probably because the drive is a 1 hour drive, and I've been meaning to talk while I was driving because I don't feel like doing it when I get home. Anyway, I took a break from Stack Overflow, like a proper break from Stack. Well, there's a horse there. Somebody just randomly got a horse on the side of the road. I took a break from Stack Overflow, like I actually stepped down from being moderator, which was a huge thing. I've been wanting to I've been thinking about it for a while. It was such a huge thing because I thought, oh, you know, being elected as a moderator takes a bit of it's a bit of an achievement. It's not something that I take lightly, so to kind of put that back's a big, just felt like a risk. Like, will I regret it? You know, how will I feel about it? And I knew I need a break from the site, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to take a break if I was a moderator. Just can't help but be tempted going there. You know, one thing leads to another. I handle a few flags, and then 300 flags later or whatever, if one of the other moderators is away, I end up handling quite a few. And then I'm back in it, and back on meta, and back on my mission to change the world or whatever, or make a difference. And honest to God, like, in the whole scheme of things, honestly, Stack Overflow and the internet, I mean, the internet is a means to communicate, but I'm moving away from it. I'm using it purely for work because I work online, and I work for a university, and I mark people's papers and whatnot, and I want to do research, and that all involves IT, so I need to use a computer for that, obviously. But then the bulk of my life now, I went off Facebook, I went off all social media except for posting YouTube videos, and which are kind of unilateral because I don't really know if I even want to allow comments. I don't even know if I want to go through that, like, you know, because inevitably someone's going to just go, oh, you're a fat bitch, you know, whatever, you're this, you're that, and insult you. And it's like, I don't really care what you think. You can hate me, I actually don't care, you know. I don't want to know. And I know a lot of people like me, a lot of people benefit from the crap that comes out of my mouth. I've been on the planet for over half a century now, and I think I've got some accumulated wisdom, I guess, but, you know, in terms of managing my own life, I certainly don't. I try not to tell people how to run their lives because I have enough trouble running my own life. Like, life's not easy. There's no easy fixes. If I get distracted sometimes, it's just because I'm driving, and I'll end up on a freeway and going pretty quickly, and the traffic's usually pretty. It's a Friday afternoon. Traffic's worse heading north, and I'm heading south, which is good. I always try to avoid the peak hour traffic. Anyway, sorry about this dust and a runny nose. And anyway, I'm a grub. I'm absolutely covered in dirt. I haven't brushed my hair for a number of days. It looks less grey, less brushed, so maybe I shouldn't brush it. But no, it's just laziness. Oh no, I did brush my hair earlier today. Oh no, I lied. I hadn't brushed it for a few days. I didn't brush it. Yeah, anyway, yeah, you know, like, when my horses are in a situation where they're manageable, i.e. into herd sizes and herd groups that I can manage, that are safe, that I can walk into the paddock and not feel threatened, I'm very happy. And my daughter helped me yesterday sort out a lot of things, and so today was a really good day with Halo. And if you want to catch up on that, I'm posting that video separately. She's just did so well. I'm so happy with her. She's just a good horse, and I can just feel this bond developing with her that's going to be very strong. Probably a bit like my bond with Tuppy, and Penny's, like Penny and I are pretty tight. I'm pretty tight with most of my horses, actually. Most, not all, but most of my horses that I got, they didn't like being handled or touched, or for whatever reason, either because they were wild and pretty much unhandled, or had just a very minor, I paid for them to have a little bit of, tiny bit of handling, you know, where they put a halter on them and try and lead them around just to help them, you know, help them get on a truck and get off the truck at the other end. So they weren't completely, apart from that, they were completely unhandled and trapped from the wild. So, but I actually find those horses really, really good to work with. I love our Brumbies. I think they're the most amazing horses. The ones that, from what I can gather, that come out of the large areas of parks, National Park and whatnot, you get a pretty decent horse out of there, you know, natural selection. There's plenty, they're not being inbred. You know, I watched Halo. When I first got her, I just let her, she was wandering around this paddock, and I was just watching her and how she was reaching up to pick leaves off trees and just grazing and browsing just very differently to a domestic horse. And they're resourceful and they're intelligent, and I just adore them. I admire them a lot. But anyway, back onto this whole Stack Overflow, a life thing, and where I'm at, because I know that people will be wondering, like, oh, why did she go? Whatever happened? You know, was it Stack Overflow? Was it, you know, what was it? You know, and like, honest to God, I just even question my value of being on there, because we're in an environmental crisis. This is going to sound funny. People are going to think, oh, what's she saying this for? Like, because I drive on a freeway for an hour to get to my horses, an hour to get home, there's a lot of trucks, and I will often see a cattle truck, and they've got like the two decks that load the cattle onto both decks. And sometimes I cry when I see them. It's terrible. Yesterday I couldn't stop crying. My daughter was in the car, and I was just, the more I talked about it, the more I cried. I said, you know, like, during, you know, the Holocaust in World War II, people were loaded into cattle trucks and trains and treated like cattle, worse in most cases, because they were starved, and just, you know, like, the Holocaust was just, and many other situations, like, just abysmal. But the point is that the way we treat our livestock is appalling. It's like, I thought each and every one of those cattle, cows or steers or whatever they are, that is on that truck is a being with feelings and senses and intelligence. All these animals have far more intelligence than we realise. It's because they're prey animals, and they stick to herds, and they get terrified of us. So we assume that they're not intelligent. That's their way of surviving. And just because we're the #1 predator on the planet doesn't mean that they're any less intelligent than... I'm not saying they're as intelligent as us, I'm just saying they're more intelligent than we give them credit for. Just because we're able to round them up and bully them doesn't mean they haven't got their own intelligence. And in many ways, animals have a better innate intelligence than human beings do, because we use our big fat justification in our brains to override a lot of our intuitive... I'm sorry, I'm in a front, there's a car in front of me that just cannot turn right. Like, I've got to turn right, because I swear to God, someone will let me through, I hope. Can I get through? Because if I can't turn right, I have to go a whole different way to get out of here. And the car was just sitting there for ages, not turning right. So she ended up turning left, which for most of us isn't actually an option. We need to turn right. Anyway, enough about that. In Australia, turning right is like the equivalent of turning left in America. It's the harder way to go. Come on, I want to get through. I want to get through. Let me through. Can I get through? You have to drive aggressively. Anyway, so just a bit distracted. The other thing too is when I see trucks with chickens and they've got like stacks and stacks of plastic crates that are just chock-a-block stuffed with chickens, and I just think, oh my god, it's just like, thank you, beautiful, lovely guy. I wanted to kiss him. He's good looking too. Let me go in front of him. That's what they do. Like, that's what you have to do, but you have to be proactive and be prepared to stick yourself out into the traffic. Not dangerous, just be, you know, not you can't be timid and drive. Not with you. Oh, that's the next thing about Stack Overflow, the internet, social media, the cows, the chickens, is the world's population. Is like, it appalls me that I've given birth to children who are now pretty much all adults. The last one's going to be an adult by the time most people watch this. And a lot of the animals that I just grew up with, and we had one species that we'd made extinct in this country, the Tasmanian tiger, when I was a kid. And then now I just look at the world and I just go, I wish you could see all this traffic coming the other way. It's bumper to bumper. Anyway, and I'm going at like 80 kilometers an hour. Anyway, so I look at the world's population, and I've advised my children don't have kids, which is terrible. I feel like, what have I given my children to inherit in this earth? And what on earth would their children face with the state of the environment the way it is? People don't realise, like, every time somebody says, oh, I've had a baby and everything like that, I'm like, oh, congratulations, but underneath it I just feel like, why the hell would you bring a child into this earth at the moment with the crisis, the environmental crisis that we've got right now, and lack of resources, ice caps melting, just like, it's actually a very, very serious situation. And the thing that we're going to have is a food crisis. And I can tell you, like, I know that for Australia and the state that I'm living in, it's had 2 years of drought, and say horses, buying feed for horses, because horses are kind of a luxury if you think about it. You don't really make money off horses, and that's another whole big can of worms, but they're a money pit generally. It's not like cattle or sheep that you raise them and then you sell them. They're kind of like pets or whatever, even if they're used for competition. There's not much money to be made in them. There's money to be put on them. And hay and feed is so expensive, and for other, obviously, livestock. But the horses, to me, are kind of like the canary of the food situation for our country. And the price of feed is just becoming untenable to a point where you've really got to lock up your hay. You've got to lock up your feed. You cannot leave it. People have always stolen stuff since time began, but like hay is super expensive, and it's just, you know, a small bale of loosened hay is $32. It's like crazy. And I can get a 720 kilo bale of loosened for $500. Like, that's, you know, when you cut it, calculate that out, it's cheaper per small bale, but it's still very expensive. Like $5,000 to get a large bale of hay. Like, seriously? Like, you know, you've got to come out with that money, then you've got to store it, make sure it doesn't get wet, and make sure people don't steal it. It's like, seriously. You know, it's like, at what point is it more cost effective just to buy the smaller bales for more money? Anyway, so getting back to my point is, going by that, and food is getting more expensive. I've just noticed that as a consumer. I haven't got any studies on it. It's going to get to a point where the environmental crisis, I'm just going to merging in onto a freeway here. So with the environmental crisis and whatnot, and food and everything, the world's going to come to a food crisis where actually trying to eat is going to be so expensive. And I have this theory that there's going to end up in some countries, it'll start with civil unrest, unexpected civil unrest. Like there's civil unrest always somewhere happening in the world, but people are going to be hungry and people aren't going to be able to afford to buy decent, you know, fresh fruit and vegetables. You know, a loaf of bread, everything's going through the roof. And if the governments, if people can't be fed, they will get to a point where the government is not going to be able to control their civilians, and there will be civil unrest and looting and whatnot. This is, I don't know how soon, but this is what's going to eventually happen. And we're heading for a shitstorm of problems. And people like Donald Trump, he's getting on. He's elderly. He's done his bit. He doesn't care. He's a very intelligent man, incredibly selfish man, has very little conscience, but he's intelligent. He knows he's been able to get exactly what he wants in this life. I think he's a superficial man. I think what he wants in life and what I want in life are two very different things. But he's a pretty typical human being. Like he's up there in terms of what's put us at the top of the food chain, you know, relentless bloody predator. And I mean predator in all sorts of ways, because we're predators, you know, as a species. Pretty horrible species. I mean, the only thing that keeps me going with regards to human beings is the really good ones make it worthwhile. And none of us are perfect, but there's some real good eggs out there and good-hearted people. And I just look at these other people, and it's like, how are we all the same species? I don't even understand what the hell's going on there. But I find human beings so confusing, and I know I'm a human being, and I just look at them as if I'm not one. I've never really understood being part of a community or even relationships, friendships. I don't know. I'm very much it's been like just learning how to just communicate with people and just how to interact on society, and it shows, because it shows on Stack Overflow. Like sometimes I have no clue, but that's me in every aspect of my life. I have no clue. Like people see me on Meta, it's like, well, that's see me in real life. You know, I can be explosive. I'm outspoken. I can be very aggressive. I'm angry much of the time of my life, and believe it or not, that anger has served me very well, because I reckon I would be just continually walked over if I wasn't angry. You know, I'm single, I've got a disability, makes my muscles weak, and you know, when my husband died, ever since then, you know, like particularly at the beginning, like, whoa, you know, did the predators come out of the, using that word again, might as well call it the predator thing. People, you know, that thought they could get something for nothing or take advantage of me. They thought I was a moron because I have a vagina, of course. So, you know, my IQ must not be, you know, mustn't be capable of defending myself, you know, in a legal or financial sense. And the thing is that I was the one that had us covered in business anyway. It wasn't Michael, it was me. He used to rely on me. So, you know, anyway, honestly, I actually prefer being single. The only thing I don't like about being single is not being able to have, for fuck's sake, just wait a minute, there's a truck trying to get in my lane. Not focusing on what I'm doing here. Is sex. I miss sex. That's the only thing I'd want from a relationship. And it's good to have someone that can lift heavy things when you're weak, you know, but there's other people who can help you with that. And overall, I actually have grown very comfortable in being single. I've been essentially single. By that I mean, like, I've not run my own race and lived on my own since my husband died, and that was in 2003. So it's a hell of a long time. Have I had relationships? Yes. Would I call them partners as such? Not really. But you know, I'm not good at relationships. I'm not good at friendships. I'm not good at with human beings. I'm just not. You know, I go to my horses and I just get into this happy place. Like, I just come back so happy. And the thing with the horses is I have to totally focus on what they're feeling, because I care. I want their experience with me. I want them to feel safe, because I'm very threatening. I'm a human being, and they're very threatened by human beings. It means that I've got to control my temper. If I get frustrated, if I'm having a bad day, they don't forget. Like, I've got an old horse. Just want to change lanes. I'm going a bit slow here. Oh, no, it's picked up. I've got an old horse that's very nervous. Most people can't catch her. They're going to the paddock, they can't catch her. Anyway, she's a good girl for me. She's, you know, I can get her in and out of the paddock by herself, as long as the other horses aren't around to try and pick on her. Because she's very elderly, and she knows how to preserve herself. She doesn't want to be hurt by the other horses. She's a good girl, and I'm very aware. A couple of times I've been cranky with her, and I just no. When I say cranky with her, like nothing bad, never hit her or anything, but just being angry with her. I always felt so guilty, because she's just such a darling soul. She's just, the elderly horse was just used really to breed from her whole life, and she was sent to the sales, and the horse dealer picked her up from there, and then I saw her on Facebook actually, and I bought her, and she was a lot older than she was supposed to be, but I have no regrets. Love her to bits. And you know, most of my horses are quite sensitive. They will react very much to my mood. Cleo's the only one who's just like I once fell off Cleo when I was trying to get on her, because the mounting block that I climbed up on tipped over, and it was too late. I had like my leg halfway up over her butt, and I was holding it with my arm, because I've got a muscle wasting horse and I can't lift my leg over. I actually have to drag it across, and one thing led to another, and I actually spearheaded onto the ground, literally bang. I had a helmet on, fortunately, and I landed in between all her legs on the ground, and my son was there holding her, but she just stood there, did not move. Like, nothing phases her. She probably thought, oh, the human's doing something stupid again. What's she doing? Yeah, she just, I honestly regard her as having a lot more common sense and wisdom than I do. She's 22, and I've got a lot of posts on her Pet Stack Exchange. She was very starved when I got her, and she was hella food aggressive. She was like just dangerous to go into the paddock with a bucket of feed. She'd run you over. Like, she was terrified. I mean, once she was terrified of not being fed. Once I stopped her from trying to get hay, and then sounds that came out of her and the distress, oh my God, I just gave her some. I just wanted to move her out of the way and do something before feeding her, and she was so frantic, I just, you know, I couldn't do it to her, because she was given to me. This woman gave it to me, and because I said I had a rescue horse, and so she thought I might be open to it, and she was right. Showed me pictures of her, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I knew I had to take her, and I went and saw her, and of course I took her. She just looked terrible. I have to link some pictures of her anyway. She was in this paddock, and she had the most filthy water you would not believe. It was like murky green with algae or whatever it was. It was, I don't know, probably algae was growing in it. And she had her feed container was in this big shed, and there was a fence across it. so she could get into the back of this shed, and then you can get into the shed from another way where they loaded stacks of hay, and there was hay up to the roof, oaten hay, bales and bales of it, and there was about a dozen big tall white buckets of feed with lids on it that the owner made up for her. And the fucking people, her brother and sister-in-law, you think that they couldn't even just fucking, apparently the woman was terrified of the horse, but you didn't even have to go in there to give it to her. You would have to go in there to change the water, but couldn't her husband do that? If he's not scared, if she's scared, why force her to go in? But like, can't they just fucking throw some hay at her? Like, no excuse. And imagine, like, to me, that horse there, and she could see the feed. She was 10 metres from the feed, if that. All this hay and everything, it's starving to death. It's like, you're fucking kidding me? Yeah. So, anyway, my life's been hectic, and the most joy I get is with my horses. I have other pets that I love too, but I just always been horse crazy. It takes me to a really magical place. Always has since I can remember. I remember seeing my first horse. I remember the smell. I just love them my whole life. Adore them, and they're just amazing creatures. Because of that, I just, you know, I've kind of given up trying to have friendships. I've got a couple of friends here and there, and there's one friend that I will actually contact and say, hey, this is, you know, shout out to you. And so she knows. I've got a couple of friends I talk to on the phone who I never see, but probably really only one friend that I now catch up with face to face. So I stayed on Facebook to keep up with old school friends and everything, and then I realised, you know, I'm never going to see them. And old friends from another group, I'm never going to see them again. Like, why am I even doing this? And then having to put up with people here and opening up the feed. They were putting more ads on there. It's just driving me crazy. And then opening up the feed, and, you know, there was a sack with a living fetus in it that had just been aborted, and then the person poking at it with their finger, with a gloved finger, and they're reacting. And I thought, it made me feel sick, and I thought, I don't need to see this fucking shit. Like, seriously, now people need to know about it. It's like, know about what? You posted a video of this with no explanation whatsoever. It was to do with vaccinations, of course. Like, I was supposed to know that. Like, don't even get me started. I grew up in an era. I've had German measles, I've had measles, I've had chickenpox, I've had mumps. I knew people who'd had polio who were quadriplegic. I am pro all those vaccinations. Do I get flu vaccines? No. I don't get the flu vaccine where they're trying to catch up with the current strain of flu every year. I don't do that. I take the vaccines that they've been tried and tested for many years, and I vaccinated my children. Yes, I did. Because some of these illnesses can be fatal, that can come back and haunt you as an adult. They can be disabling, whatever. I don't. I'm really going off on a tangent, but I'm just sick of the absolute crap and bullshit that you see online, and the ignorance, and, you know, and I've got to be dead careful because, you know, there's a code of conduct with my work and with everything else, and who knows, you know, like, people say, well, she swears, you know, I don't know. I'm allowed to have my opinions, but I've got to be careful. I've got to sort of vet what I'm saying. And so, as for Stack Overflow, why did I leave? Because it was exhausting me, to be honest. And I started to question, well, what am I doing? I've noticed a lot of people, I know people don't, they go, oh, well, what's it to do with this? You know, when I mention women, it's like, oh, for fuck's sake, I'm a woman and I'm in programming, and I hate being surrounded by men constantly. And I love men. I love their hairy bits. I really do like men. Trust me. But I can tell you what, I don't like being the only woman all the time in the room, whether it's a cyber room or being employed, and I especially hate being talked to like I'm a fucking moron because I've got a vagina, and it happens, and I know other women feel that way. It happens with my own sons and their friends, and they talk to me, do you want me to drive? And I'm like, and I'm towing a trailer, and then it comes out they've never even towed one. It's like, what the fuck? What, because I've got a vagina I can't drive? I've got a motorbike license. Yes, I can ride a motorbike. I wouldn't now because I've got weak muscles. I wouldn't be able to, I'd risk tipping over if I wouldn't be able to stand and probably balance one, you know. But like, seriously, it's like my godfather. I grew up, I was a fast woman. Fast horses and fast cars and fast motorbikes. Like, you know, and I'm very blokey in a lot of the things that I like. But I'm also, I am a woman, you know, but I'm a very assertive woman, and I can be aggressive, but that makes me a bitch, you know, or emotional, or something out of control, or on the verge of a nervous breakdown, or God knows what else. And I've got to admit, fatigue and trying to get a point across and trying to word it in a way when you do, because you know, posting on Meta, yeah, it's very tricky. You've got to be so careful not to upset multiple groups of people. And so then people could possibly wonder the great lengths I would go to, and then if I let my guard down at all, people think, oh, what's wrong with her? Oh, it's ranty, it's this, it's that. It's like, no, it's fucking not. I'm just over it. I'm tired of being politically correct. Actually, that's what I'm tired of. I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of the site. I've made it abundantly clear in my posts. I see where the network's coming from. I see where you know, I'm probably far more aligned now with the regular user base that posts on Meta, which makes me less useful to people wanting to come into Meta. Maybe, I don't know, I've become one of the people that people feel intimidated of. That's what came up to me lately. I thought, oh geez, I'm not giving people enough benefit of the doubt. I'm coming down hard on people, and I don't know, at the end of the day, it actually doesn't matter, because I'm time poor, and I'm 52. I was told I had a good chance of being dead before I was 40 because I've got this illness, and I just want to breathe, and I want to enjoy my life. Will I come back to Stack Overflow? I don't know. What my plan is I want to do research, and I've had several opportunities come up over the last couple of years to do research. I'm interested in IT security, and I had some really good research proposals. One was on a research topic that we have not covered globally, to do with IT in the dark net. But I'm not really that interested in the dark web anyway. I'm more interested in, well, you know, probably mobile applications and just exploits over the internet. And I'm actually also interested in social media and security on that, which is also part of the reason why I got off there. I just couldn't cope with it. And then I post to people, oh, you know, you're doing this, like people trying to get your information, so they can, then people wonder why they have duplicate accounts set up. And somebody's used my credit card, I don't know how. Oh, I don't know. Oh, it gives me a headache. It's people, I don't want to go into it. Anyway, so as for me with Stack Overflow, I just want to focus my energies going back to research. There's another research opportunity come up for me to do research with someone, because I've always wanted to do a PhD. I can't do one unless I get a scholarship. I'm not made of money, and I've been a single parent even though my kids are growing up. I don't have someone to help me pay the bills. If I, you know, if anything, I have to go to my parents, can you believe it, and say, can you help me out? I've got too many horses, can you help me feed them this week? But apart from that, you know, I don't have anyone to help house or clothe me or whatever else, and I can't afford to take time out and do a PhD for 3 years and not get some kind of scholarship for it. I need to work. And if you're researching on a PhD, it's hard to work. And that was another thing with Stack Overflow, is that was like a job. And don't get me wrong, I've thoroughly enjoyed it, or I wouldn't do it. But because it does take time and I'm not getting paid for it, it's like I've got to put my energies in areas where I can actually get money, because I'm tired of I've just got too many horses. So, and I'm not prepared to rehome them, because horses don't end up having good fates in this country. They usually end up in the sales yard and getting bought by doggers. That's the end result for most of them. They're lucky if they get to live with an owner and die old with that owner. And a lot of the horses I've got, I can't rehome. They can't be ridden for various reasons or whatever, you know, for health reasons. And the only horses that I could rehome are all my Brumbies, and they're the actually easiest ones to deal with, and I don't want to rehome them, and I love them. I had one since he was the size of a greyhound. He was a baby. I love him. He's like a dog. He comes up to us. He's like a pet dog. But they're characters. Like, I remember once I had my kids and their friends come into the paddock with me, and Paddy, this little Brumby, he bit them all. He told them to go away. It was like he bit each and every one of them until they'd all moved away from him, and he was snuggling with me. I thought it was hilarious. For all the horse people out there, I know you shouldn't allow your horse to bite people. He was only a 1-year-old. He doesn't bite anymore, but I thought it was hilarious watching it unfold. It was his way of saying, get away, she's mine, go away. From his perspective, he didn't understand what all these human beings were doing around near me. He was I was his, you know. She's mine. She's my part mum, you know. He's a part human, part horse in his mind. I was always mindful to make sure he could speak horse, because, you know, we had him from such a young age without his mum. So he always had the company of horses, but he's very, very personable, you know. And I'm not going to rehome him. I love him, you know. So that's me. I've really gone off onto a lot of topics, but actually, you know, and I'm not going to discuss my children or, you know, the fact that they need better energy from me, and I can only, you know, give them that if I've got a better balanced life. So, but I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of that, but that's in a nutshell. You all want to know why I've left Stack Overflow. It's something that I wanted to do, and I don't have the patience at the moment. And you know, deleting that last meta post, it was just deleted. I found out it was deleted, and that was separate. That really actually had nothing to do with me. Stepping down's been coming for a long time, and I think I kind of almost wanted to push them into wanting me to go as well, because I just was starting to felt very committed and obliged, and I know that a lot of people like me, and I felt like I could kind of offer them something, and felt like an advocate, I guess. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It'll still go on without me. And I forgot about the women thing. Totally went off on it. There's a couple of women now active in the Meta chat room, and very experienced programmers, better programmers than me, and I'm very happy. And you know, both a bit older, and one that I met on Twitter, and I was really happy about that one, and another woman that I've got a lot of respect for, that I've gotten to know on time, who I'd love to see these women run for moderators, and I'd love to see more women active on the site, just to show, just to break, it's just to break down the general idea that women can be highly intelligent and quite capable too, and it's okay to have them in positions of authority, you know, and it's okay for me to want to have women represented up there and active on the site, because it's just better for all of us. It's healthy for all of us as human beings to value our women's brains more than we do, because women, if you look in most cultures, the women will be a bit disregarded. And as I was saying, even my own sons do it with me, and their dad died when they were young. My two youngest children don't even remember their father, and so they grew up in a one-parent household, and they're still a little bit sexist. So it's obviously something that's far-reaching. So and it's very frustrating as a woman to be able to say the same thing as a man, and like I could be saying the same thing, I could say it 10 times, and a man says it, and they're like, oh, really? And it's like, fuck me. Like, I get so sick of playing that game of having to introduce a smart idea to become a man's idea. It's like, we have come a long way, but we have a long way to go. People are going to go on, oh, why are you going up? It's like, you just have to be a woman to really understand it. Particularly a woman like that is independent, values in intelligence and her independence. I don't need a man, as I said, for anything except sex. And honestly, like, I run my own race, and like, there is that situation where a lot of women are looking for a partner, and they will often change themselves to be more attractive to get the men in, and that involves also their, stroking their ego at the beginning. Oh, yes, look at you, and watching them play sport and all this shit that bores you to tears. Oh, go. And then, they get married, and down the track, the guy's like, what the fuck, who did I marry? Hey, get off that fucking TV and come and help me! It's like, okay. And they wonder what happened. It's like, because the whole society is built up for women to don't earn as much. They then get pregnant and have children, and up until recently they would actually take time off and be able to be a mother, so they're reliant on a man to support that. So they had to hook a man into hanging around to help them survive. And I'm not being critical of the women, and I'm not even being critical of the men. It's just the way it is, has been, and in a way, at the moment, it's even kind of a bit more difficult in some ways, because now women have got the rights to go and work and have their time off, but they're also expected to work and raise children. And men are helping more, but there's still an imbalance, I'm sure. Sorry, I've got a car on my bum. Just having a look. Anyway, sorry about all the face scratching. I need to wash my face and I need to have a shower when I get home and scrub my nails. I don't know if you can see they're probably filthy. But anyhow, my fingers feel really chalky from the calcium supplements that I use are really dusty, and the supplements I put in their feed. Anyway, I hope I've kind of made sense. This is a little about me. Sorry about the double chin looking up under my thing. I'm going to go and listen to some music, return my daughter's call. She's been trying to call me while I'm doing this, and the phone's... Normally the video will disconnect and the phone call will come through, but it hasn't. So I'm going to get off this, and I'll put this onto YouTube later. It's very long.